Live from the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Wednesday, March 30th. We have all you need to know about the recent arrest in State College, as well as a career change for a town councilman.
We also have more on the wildfires in Colorado, along with entertainment, sports, and weather. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Caroline Diaz.
And I'm Brooke. A Penn State student was arrested on Friday in a connection to an alleged attempted sexual assault on February 12th. Bradley Walmer was charged with a felony count of attempted sexual assault, one misdemeanor count of indecent assault without the consent of others, one misdemeanor count of simple assault, and one summary count of harassment. Walmer is being held on a 5% of $20,000 bail, and according to court documents, was unable to post as of Monday. The charges were filed in the office of Magisterial District Judge Stephen Lackman, and Walmer is scheduled for a preliminary hearing April 6th.
A 20-year-old University Park student was charged on Sunday for stabbing another man during a physical altercation. Judah Tafari Sampieri of New Haven allegedly stabbed the man in the lower back with a kitchen knife at the Bryn Apartments late Monday night. Sampieri says he acted in defense of his girlfriend, who was being choked in a headlock by the man he stabbed. After police arrived on the scene, the victim was taken to Mount Nittany Medical Center. Sampieri is charged with a felony count of aggravated assault, among other misdemeanors. Sampieri was arraigned Sunday morning and was denied bail. He is currently being held at Center County Correctional Facility, awaiting his April 6th hearing.
Jingtao Han, a Penn State graduate student, was arrested on March 18th after he allegedly spit on 3 people on Penn State University property, according to a criminal complaint. Han allegedly walked up to 3 separate individuals and spit saliva in their faces. Han was allegedly walking in the opposite direction and leaned over and spit in their face, the complaint said. Han was held on a 10% of $27,500 monetary bail, which has been posted. He was scheduled for a preliminary hearing today, and charges were filed in the office of Magisterial District Judge Donald Hahn.
State College Borough Councilman Richard Biver is said to be stepping down from his role to pursue a career in musical theater. Biver will be moving to Kansas after accepting a job as a musical theater professor at Wichita State University. Both the councilman and his wife have been offered jobs within the school's musical theater department. The Bivers have lived in State College for 20 years, but have decided to both take a big step to pursue their dreams. Biver will serve on the State College Borough Council until June 2022. Biver and his wife will move to Kansas the following month. After a few days of freezing temperatures, will we be seeing more spring-like temperatures later this week? Gracie Eckerly has the details in this week's weather report after the break.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm Gracie Eckerly with your weather forecast for the upcoming week. Tonight, we're looking at partly cloudy weather and temperatures around 45 degrees, and we're looking at a light breeze with around 6 miles an hour. And then taking a look at your out-the-door forecast tomorrow, you're going to start off your morning classes with some light rain, but it's going to transition later in the afternoon and even into the night with some heavy thunderstorms, and we could even get one of those PSU alerts with the thunderstorm warnings. So make sure if you're going out tomorrow for your classes, you might want to bring an umbrella with you. And then looking ahead to this weekend, April 1st is just around the corner, up on Friday. The weather is going to be super consistent, and we're looking at some really nice temperatures that are getting warmer in the beginning of April. And then if we take a look at our 7-day weather forecast for this week, we can see that this morning we had some of that wintry mix, but I don't think we'll be seeing any more of that with the upcoming weather. Today, it was a high of 51 with a low of 41. And then tomorrow, again, we're going to have those thunderstorms and possibly severe wind, but the temperatures are going to get up to just barely around 70 degrees. It's looking like it's going to be 67 and a low of 38. And if we take a look at Friday, it's going to be the last overcast day for a while with a high of 44 and a low of 30 degrees. But then when we get into the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday weather, it's all going to be partly cloudy and temperatures are looking like they're going to stay around 50 degrees. We've got a high of 50 on Saturday and a low of 34, high of 49 on Sunday with a low of 34. And then Monday and Tuesday, it's going to be 49 for a high and a low of 33. Tuesday, high of 52 and a low of 38. That's all for today's weather report. Coming after the break, Destiny Sanchez has the latest in sports.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Destiny Sanchez with your sports update. Many Nittany Lions came back to their old stomping grounds in Happy Valley during Penn State football's annual Pro Day. Hosted at Habula Hall, representatives from 32 NFL teams came to watch 15 Nittany Lions as they looked to impress scouts before the upcoming NFL draft. Jahan Dotson chose to opt out of the 40-yard dash, but impressed scouts by catching every pass from Sean Clifford. Safety Jaquan Brisker ran a 4.43 40-yard dash and had 22 reps on the bench press. Safety Drew Hartleb ran an impressive 4.22 40-yard dash. The 2022 NFL Draft is scheduled to take place in Las Vegas from April 28th to 30th. Also here in Happy Valley, Penn State men's volleyball beat Sacred Heart on Saturday 3-0 at Rec Hall, bringing their winning streak up to 15 straight matches. Junior Jack Champagne started his match of the season and led Penn State with a career high of 12 kills, along with 4 digs and a pair of blocks. Redshirt senior Will Bantle became the 10th Nittany Lion ever to reach 60 digs after totaling 9 more against Sacred Heart. The Nittany Lions only have 4 more matches this season until the EIVA tournament gets underway this April. The Final Four is set for the 2022 NCAA tournament. March has been madness per usual as Duke, UNC, Kansas, and Villanova are the last 4 teams in the tournament. On Saturday, Kansas plays Villanova at 6 p.m. and Duke takes on North Carolina right before 9 p.m. This is the first time these 2 Carolina teams will face each other in the tournament. The winners will play for the championship on Monday, April 4th at 9:20 p.m. The madness continues, so be sure to tune in. That's all for your sports update. After the break, Amanda Weissman has the latest updates from the world of entertainment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Amanda Weissman with your entertainment update. Do you ever wish you could travel back in time to experience the era of jazz music? Well, luckily, you don't have to rent a time machine. You only have to purchase a ticket. The Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis is coming to Penn State on Thursday, March 31st. The explosive performance will kick off at 7:30 p.m. in our very own Eisenhower Auditorium. This performance will be celebrating the 100th birthday of Charles Mingus, one of the greatest jazz musicians. Charles Mingus was a virtuoso bass player, pianist, band leader, and a composer whose works are noted as extremely influential. Vincent Gardner will lead these musicians through a performance featuring swinging hard pop, gospel blues, and other prominent jazz works. Tickets can be purchased through Ticketmaster and are $5 for students. Supporting the community is very important, especially one that is so large. As April is just around the corner, so is Penn State Pride Month. The Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity has a full month of planned activities, marches, speakers, and more to celebrate and support the LGBTQ+ community. The Pride Month will kick off with a Pride March and rally from the Hub Robeson Center to Old Main. All organizations, students, and campus and community patrons are encouraged to join. The rally will be this Friday, April 1st at 11 a.m. Marchers are to meet at the Hub Robeson Center Pollock entrance. Flags and signs of support are permitted as well as encouraged to bring. Get ready to show your support to the community of LGBTQ+ members. In other campus news, Cabot Phillips, the managing editor of the Daily Wire, spoke to Penn State students last week about his political philosophy. Field reporter Nick DeLuca has all the details. Take a look.
For the first time in almost 3 years, a political speaker delivered a speech to Penn State students in an on-campus environment. The event, hosted by the Penn State College Republicans, entitled The Lies of the Left, featured Cabot Phillips, the managing editor of the conservative news and entertainment outlet, The Daily Wire.
When you live on a liberal campus such as at Penn State, there are a lot of things that we sort of are forced to accept as true that aren't necessarily correct.
Cabot spoke about how conservative students can take a stand against liberal biases on campus and why this is important. Prior to the Daily Wire, Cabot was the editor-in-chief of Campus Reform and held a position on Senator Marco Rubio's 2016 presidential campaign.
A lot of the mainstream media, they tend to promote a certain image, and I think Cabot really provides an alternative to that, and it's something that a lot of people don't get to hear.
Oftentimes our point of view isn't represented on campus. We don't see a lot of other conservative speakers at events on campus. So I think it's really important to have that there and bring representation to a side that isn't often shed light on.
To access the Daily Wire's content, visit their website at www.dailywire.com or download the app onto your mobile device. And to listen to one of their hosts, utilize wherever you get your podcasts from. At the Health and Human Development Building for Penn State Network News, I'm Nick DeLuca.
Apparently the Oscars are also for winning awards, not just a place to slap one another. Sorry, Will Smith, but your fight night wasn't the only big takeaway, although it may have been one of the most entertaining. This year marked the 94th Oscar Academy Awards, which were held at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles, California. The sci-fi movie Dune swept the floor and was the most awarded movie this year. Dune was released in October of 2021 and was a $165 million production that brought in roughly $400 million from box office revenue. Dune won in 6 different categories, including Best Production Design, Best Sound, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, and Best Visual Effects. Congratulations to all involved in this production, and in case you couldn't tell, it's definitely worth a watch. That's all for your entertainment update. After the break, interview anchor Paloma Frunt will be speaking to Lexi Wells, the president of minorities in sports at PSU. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Paloma Frunt, and with me tonight is Lexi Wells, the president of Penn State's MIS, and Kelly Warner, the president of Penn State's chapter of AWSM. Minorities in Sports at Penn State is an organization founded with the purpose of empowering and connecting minorities within the sports industry, and AWSM, also known as the Association for Women in Sports Media, is an organization that advocates for females aspiring to work in sports media. Thank you so much both for joining us here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Could you tell me a little bit about what roles you guys play in the organizations?
Yeah, so I guess I can start. Basically, for me, I'm in charge of kind of recruitment, but also being there for those professional development aspects of our organization. So we basically want to foster and create diversity for minority students to be able to get that, inspiration to be in the sports industry and help them kind of thrive. So I'm the president. I'm basically there to make sure everybody's good, kind of facilitate what my e-board is doing. They do an amazing job, and I really couldn't do it without the rest of the multicultural Penn State community who helps us out as well.
Yeah, as president, I sort of facilitate the club, and I mainly get the speakers that we have at each meeting, which are women that work in the sports media industry and talk to us about their journeys. And I also just make sure I help all members with anything they need. I'm just there for networking advice and resume advice, just anything that they may need.
That's awesome. Could you ladies tell me what inspired you to become leaders behind these organizations?
Yeah, so what inspired me was me wanting to be within the sports industry, and it is a very white male-dominated industry, and me being a woman of color, I didn't really see other women of color getting the opportunities, or just people of color in general. So when I was first presented with the idea of being president of this organization, I was just so inspired and happy to do so, because I always want to be there to foster growth, and hopefully our organization helps a lot of students get to where they want to go.
Yeah, similar to what Lexi said, I just came into school and knew I wanted to work in the sports media industry, and I'm also a big supporter of women. So when I found this club, I was like, this is the place for me, and I grew up in it from freshman year, and I just realized I want to be there to help the other girls who joined the club at young ages.
And now, you're heading closer to graduation, and I'm wondering, how do you hope your organizations continue to grow after you leave?
Yeah, so I really hope my organization continues to just gain diversity overall with like men, women, different races, ethnicities, religions. I just want it to be a really great place where people who have that passion for sports, want to work in sports, can come to and feel like it's a safe space. I know that I'm probably going to leave it to my vice president, Atia Frisbee. I'm so glad to work with her. I know she'll do an amazing job. So basically, I just want to make sure that everybody feels heard and has a safe space, and it continues to grow and create, at the end of the day, more diversity within the sports industry as a whole.
Yeah, we just elected a new exec board, and I know they're going to be awesome and take it over really well, so I have no fear that it's going to continue to be great, but I just hope that they continue to have great speakers and to make sure girls are getting the best advice they can with networking and everything.
And I wanted to ask, have you been involved in the organization since your freshman year, or did you join later on?
So my organization, I'm currently a junior. I joined last year when I was a sophomore because it wasn't founded until last year. So last year I was the social chair, and now this year I am a junior and I'm the president. So I've really had a lot of growth from that, but I have nothing but love for the org, just grown to love it so much.
Yeah, I joined as a freshman, and then each year kind of moved up in the ranks. My sophomore year I was a chair, my junior year I was vice president, and now senior year I'm president.
What challenges would you ladies say that, minority groups and women are facing in the sports industry?
I feel like a great challenge is that a lot of times minority groups and women are very underestimated. So since we are both groups that are underestimated, we're not taken as seriously. So it would be harder for us to get into these powerful positions that we aspire to be in. So it's very difficult to go into an industry when no one is even giving you the chance to do so. So that's basically, I believe, the mission for both of our organizations, just to make sure that diversity is there, because that challenge is there. And little by little, we're making our way, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just about making the opportunities equally distributed between women and other minority groups, and it's not just a male-dominated industry anymore.
I love how, it's different organizations, but it is a similar goal, and that's amazing. Because I've both of you tonight to tell me a little bit about that. I was wondering, what events do the organizations hold to inspire more people?
Yeah, so similar to Awesome, AWSM, we have a speaker series where we have minoritized individuals who are already working within the sports industry come back and speak to us. So we have people from ESPN, MLB, NBA, Complex. They all come and talk to us as people of color, getting that professional take, seeing what we can do to get into the positions one day. We also had last week a spring networking trip. We were able to meet with ACC Conference, MLB, Wasserman, which is an agency that combines sports, entertainment, and culture. So we just really like to network and do professional development things as well. But closer to bonding, we do have like a kickball tournament, which is next week, April 14th. All the details at MIS Penn State Instagram. We just do like a lot of bonding things like that, watching games and things of that nature too.
Yeah, as Lexi said, awesome. Our main thing is every meeting we have a speaker come to us via Zoom typically. We have big names like Laura Oakman, she's an NFL and Fox reporter. We try to get people from all different angles of sports media, PR, broadcast, and it's just for them to tell us advice and everything. Besides that, we do our own networking and advice sessions, and then we do bondings just so we can all get closer as a club.
I think it's so amazing how the members in your organizations are building such strong networks, getting to know all these amazing people in the industry just through their clubs at Penn State. That's really incredible. So I have to ask, what message would you send out to young people like us, men in minority groups, and women who want to grow in this industry and be recognized, but right now are such a small percentage of it?
For those who are aspiring, I would definitely tell them to don't stop grinding, basically. If there's a position that you want, apply for it. If there's networking events, go to it. Make sure you put your name out there, because the world is changing and they need more diversity, and we can make an impact as much as possible.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's just, if you want it, go get it. Just grind and do your best, and you'll make your way there.
Yes. What has been your biggest takeaway from your experience in the organization so far?
My biggest takeaway is that there's definitely strength in numbers. Being involved in this organization has connected me with so many different students who give me so much advice. I'm able to be a resource for them. They're able to be a resource for me. So basically just continue to network, continue to have those professional relationships, and just being your true authentic self is what I've been able to take away from this whole experience as being president so far.
I love that.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from Awesome is very similar. It's just with women, I know it's a competitive industry, but the best thing we can do is support each other. There's no need for competition. We'll all find our own way and our own path. Just be there for each other and raise each other up.
That's an incredible message, especially if you were just saying there's no competition, you need one another to create a big thing, and that's exactly what you ladies are doing. Thank you so much, Lexi and Kelly, for coming in and teaching us about minority in sports and the Association of Women in Sports Media. It is so inspirational. Coming up next, Brooke and Carolyn have the latest news happening across the nation. Stay tuned.
At least 19,000 people were under mandatory evacuation Saturday as a fast-moving wildfire burned in the Boulder, Colorado area. No injuries were reported, and it wasn't immediately clear if any structures were threatened. But the blaze near the National Center for Atmospheric Research's Maysu Laboratory and Visitor Center had doubled in size in a few hours Saturday afternoon. The Boulder Office of Emergency Management tweeted that those ordered to leave included people connected to about 8,000 homes near the blaze. Emergency management officials said Boulder County Sheriff's Office investigators were looking for potential witnesses who may have been on or near the trails south of the Maysu Laboratory around 2 p.m. Air tankers were seen on video from NBC affiliate KUSA of Denver dropping retardant on the blaze.
A jury awarded $14 million in compensation to 12 people injured in Denver protests over the death of George Floyd in 2020. The jury found that the Denver police response violated the protesters' constitutional rights. Police officer Jonathan Christian, an officer during the 2020 protests, is a defendant in the case. Christian must pay protesters each hundreds of thousands of dollars directly for their injuries he caused. Court documents explain that protesters alleged officers shot at their heads, pepper sprayed them, and threw tear gas. Denver police admits they've made mistakes and are working on making changes as soon as possible as to how officers respond to protesters.
An ice shelf the size of New York City has collapsed in East Antarctica, an area long thought to be stable and not hit by much climate change. The collapse, captured by satellite images, marked the first time in human history that the frigid region had an ice shelf collapse. It happened at the beginning of a warm spell last week. Temperatures soared more than 70 degrees warmer than normal in some spots of East Antarctica. The ice shelf, about 460 square miles wide, holding in the Conger and Glenser glaciers from the warmer water, collapsed between March 14th and 16th.
8,000 American troops were sent to Delta Junction, Alaska for combat training to challenge Russia's goal of militarizing the Arctic. Tensions between the U.S. and Russia over Alaska have raised in recent years. Climate change has opened up energy reserves and shipping routes, which the nations are fighting over. Tensions are especially high now due to Russia's war on Ukraine. Russia has spent years prioritizing their presence in the Arctic, and the U.S. is making big plans to do the same. The U.S. is planning to transform the port at Nome along the Alaskan border into a deepwater Coast Guard hub. The Pentagon, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force are also planning out ways to increase their capabilities to defend the U.S. against Russia. That concludes our show tonight at PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSN News.
Have a good night and stay safe, Penn State.